I'm waving. I'm going to wave.
Okay, so I don't have my rosary here with me, but I chose to do my speech on the rosary, and here is a visual aid of what it looks like. So I was born and raised Roman Catholic. My family has a very religious background. My grandparents had their 50th wedding anniversary at a church, so we're all very religious. I used to go to church every Sunday morning and religious education every Monday night for an hour every week. And I've been baptized, had my first communion, and I've also been confirmed. So I chose the rosary because it's one of the most obvious symbols of Catholic culture. And what it means is rosary is a Latin word that means garnish of roses. And the rose is a flower that symbolizes the Virgin Mary, which is why the rosary is represented. And what it is a form of devotion to the Virgin Mary. So it's a bunch of prayers, like basically put in one big prayer called the Rosary. And the prayers that the Rosary consists of are the Apostles' Creed, the Our Father, Glory be to God, and 10 Hail Marys. An entire Rosary consists of 15 decades, and what the decades are is the 10 beads, the group of 10 beads, if you can see, that are right here, and that's considered a decade. So an entire rosary consists of 15 of them, which is 150 Hail Marys. So if you're doing a real rosary, it's 150 Hail Marys all in one prayer. The beads on the rosary are meant to like keep track of where you are in your prayer, and meant like each bead and each link in the rosary is a tab to like a bookmark almost, to let you know what place you're at. So you start at the beginning, which is the cross, right here. And the cross is where you pray the Apostles' Creed, which is just basically a brief summary of the Apostles' teachings and beliefs. So an example is, I believe in God, Father Almighty, I believe in Jesus Christ, His only Son, etc. And then the first bead is where you pray the Our Father. And then the next set of beads, there's 3 beads. So you would pray the Hail Mary. And it's 3 Hail Marys, so a Hail Mary each bead. And at this point, you're supposed to meditate on the 3 divine virtues, which are faith, hope, and love. And then the link in the chain that come after the 3 beads, that is when you pray, Glory be to the Father. And then after that, there's a single bead, and this is where you announce the first divine mystery of contemplation and pray the Our Father as well. And the divine mysteries are divided into 4 groups, which are joy, light, sorrow, and glory. And each of those groups has a subgroup, which there's a lot of them, so I'm not going to get all into it. And then there's 10 beads after the single bead, which is known as the decade, and this is where you would pray 10 Hail Marys in a row. And this is known as the Annunciation. And then after the 10 beads, there's 1 bead, and this is where you pray Glory be to the Father and announce the second mystery. So like I said, there's multiple mysteries. This is where you announce the second one. And then the second set of beads is, there's 10 of them again, so a decade, and you would pray 10 Hail Marys, and this is where you contemplate the next mystery. So whatever comes next in the prayer is what you would pray. And depending on what day you're praying on, actually determines what mystery you pray about. And this continues throughout the rosary. So however many times you just repeat it on the rosary. Why it's important to Catholic culture is it's not just like reciting prayers. You are supposed to meditate, and it's supposed to be on the grace of God. So you are supposed to meditate about your love for God, your faith, and your beliefs. Outsiders of the Catholic culture may just see the rosary as a piece of jewelry. They don't really understand what it means because they just see it as like a necklace. They might also think that the prayer itself, if they do know what you're supposed to do with the rosary, the prayer itself is like boring, repetitious, meaningless, and unfortunately that's one of the reasons the rosary has become less popular in Catholic faith, because people think it takes up too much time or it's just too much to remember. But in past years, in like early Catholic culture, people would pray the rosary every day, and my grandma is actually one of those people. She still prays the rosary every day, and she's the one who's passed down multiple rosaries to me. I've got them from my great-grandma, my grandma. I have, I think, 3 of them. So obviously it's important to Catholic culture because they pass them down throughout generations. And another reason the rosary is important is because they're the Virgin Mary's promises for daily devotion. And there's 15 of them. I won't get too far into all of them because they're a little lengthy, but some examples are special protection and great graces. Those who continue to recite the rosary will receive signal graces. The rosary is a powerful armor against hell, so it's supposed to protect you, basically. Those who trust themselves to Mary through the rosary will not perish. And if you recite the rosary devoutly, you will not be overwhelmed. And you will not be overwhelmed by misfortune or experience the anger of God. So again, it's supposed to be a form of protection. Those devoted to the rosary will not die without the sacraments of the church. And children of the rosary will enjoy great glory in heaven. So the afterlife also plays a role in the rosary. What you ask through the rosary, you will receive. So it's the whole ask and you shall receive basics. And one more is those who recite the rosary are her beloved children, as in the Virgin Mary's, and brothers and sisters of Jesus Christ. And that is some background about the rosary and why it's important to Catholic culture.